Hi, budding Vassalers. This is lesson 3 of my VASSL 101 series, and in this lesson, I'm going to teach you how to start setting up an advanced scenario. The previous lesson, I gave you the basics on how to set up a scenario, basically load a couple boards to get you going. But what I'm going to do this lesson is actually step you through setting up a real scenario and then continue on with some following lessons on how to do things such as crop the boards to fit to the scenario, um, add overlays to it if the scenario has it, as well as doing terrain transformations depending on if there are any special scenario rules for that scenario. So I went out, dug through my hard drive, and picked a scenario that was sort of allow me to do all of those things in a series of videos. So I grabbed this scenario called the Eastern Gate. It's Japanese versus British Gurkha. It's a PTO scenario. It has 4 boards, but they're cropped to half boards, and it also has overlays and PTO dense jungle and all the things that come with playing a PTO scenario. So I should be able to use this scenario to show you how to set it up, apply all these techniques in VASSL, and then eventually show you how to populate the scenario with the orders of battle. And this technique can be applied for any scenario you choose to pick. You just may or may not need to use the various things that I show, such as cropping boards, overlays, etc. But I'm going to step through this process with this one scenario to show you how it's done. So I'm going to refer back to this as well. So let me minimize that and fire up VASSL real quick. If you haven't installed VASSL, if you're coming into these lessons a little late, go back to lesson 1. I go through this 3 steps on how to install the VASSL engine as well as the VASSL module. Let's fire up the VASSL module. And we will start a game offline. And I'll show you again later on how to join games online. Right now, I want to show you how to set up your own scenario through this example scenario that I have here. So let's just start a new game offline. Let me pull up the scenario again and zoom in here. So it's a 4 board setup, 35, 30, 34, 35, 36, and 37 with this orientation. And this is the orientation that you sort of have to lay it out in VASSL in the horizontal direction. So we want 34, we want basically 2 columns and 2 rows. So let's do that. Let's do that first. So let's add a row and add a column. And let me expand this a little bit so you can see basically the board layout. So I've got the 2x2 board layout. It's blank right now. So I need to put 34 in the top. So let's go down to board, pick board 34. Make sure the orientation is right. Right now the board number is to the left, but we see here it needs to be to the right. So all we have to do is flip that, okay? And let's add the other boards, 35 and then 36, 37. So 35, I believe that orientation is right. Yeah. And 36 will need to be flipped. Oh, in the previous video, I also showed you how to download boards and store them in a VASSL board directory. So if you're not sure how to do that, rewatch or watch lesson 2. And then board 37, which does not need to be flipped. 37, yeah, that looks right. Okay, we've got our 2x2 board, basically matrix here loaded. But as the scenario shows, we're only using the center. So only hex rows A through P are playable on each board. So let's let's load this up, and I'll show you how to crop the boards from within the game. You can also do it from here in the setup. But what I want to do is break these videos up into lessons. So I'll show you how to save the board, and then in the next lesson, I'll show you how to load the board, and then how to crop and do terrain transformations and overlays from actually within the game, not from within the setup area. So let's go ahead and hit finish, and it'll throw us into the game, into VASSAL standalone. We're not connected to the server or anything. So here's just everything's loaded, just the 4 boards in the orientation shown. No overlays, no cropping. It's got default. These are PTO boards, but there are no transformations on them for PTO. The scenario that I chose here, the Eastern Gate, has dense jungle. All roads are paths. It's got palm trees for orchards, etc. And I'll show you how to transform all those things. It'll get rid of the roads, add the overlays, turn these jungles from normal type forest into dense jungle, which are inherent terrain. So it'll fill the whole hexes to remind you that they are dense jungles. And I'll do that in lesson 4. I'm trying to break these up into small chunks so you can consume them. Before this video ends, real quick, let's make sure so you guys can follow on in the next videos. Let's save this game. Now you can save it anywhere you want. I have a VASSAL directory called VASSAL stuff. Save it wherever you want on your local drive, and then I have a directory called saves. And let me just save it here. I'll just call it Eastern Gate. So go ahead and save that. You can enter a comment if you want. Just enter lessons. And then next video and the preceding videos, we will load this game and we'll continue to build on the techniques to transform this board from a generic looking one to the one that's needed to play this scenario with all the overlays and transformations. So I'll see you in lesson 4. Rollo.